Stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. I look funny, but yo, I'm making money, see? So yo, world, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather round. I'm the new fool in town, and my sound's laid down by the underground. I'll drink a bottle of Hennessy, you got in your shelf.
Some days, you're Humpty Hump. Some days, you're the Burger King bathroom. I'm trying to be magnanimous here to my righty friends. What am I kidding? I don't have any righty friends. How about that night? Dan, did you stay up till the wee hours of the morning watching election coverage like I did?
No, I was feeling sick to my stomach and couldn't imagine how America would make such decisions, like having a final season of Jersey Shore and allowing Snooki to be pregnant during it.
I know. See, you'll end up pro-choice by the time that's all done.
Well, I'm pro-choice in the sense that I think we should be able to put her down, not her kid.
What, 25, like the 75th month, you know?
Yeah, something like
75th
that.
75th trimester.
Yeah, you know.
So we're going to kick back. I was going to go with the Sam Adams and the spirit of bipartisanship. And I got Romney, albeit late, did a very nice concession speech. I almost believe when he said he didn't have a concession speech written at the beginning of the night. And again, kudos. They were doing a live stream on his website through the night, and they kept it on through the president's acceptance.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's a classy move.
Somebody's like, and they did that for free, and it's like, actually, that probably cost them a ton of money. I think that's great that they did it. But
well, I think they just took an ABC News stream.
I'm sure, but it still costs money to have the website to do that kind of thing. And let's be honest, political website guys, they made bank this last.
Everyone's crying about Karl Rove. He was in charge of a $350 million, at least, super PAC. And I don't know what kind of deal he negotiated, 5, 10, 15% of the ad buys to him. So he made bank. Vanderplatz made bank. Vader. I brought the dog too. Hold on. Come here, puppy. Up. Come on, up. There you go. I brought the dog just because. You want to smell the mic? That smells like fun. That smells like beer nut belches. He's having a good time. Plus, I'm really tired, and this is the first, by the way, sip of alcohol I've had. I think through this whole general election cycle. It's Puppy. Vader, do you see yourself on the screen? Oh, he can see TV. He was watching. He was absolutely transfixed. He's messing up all my papers. He was transfixed with the CNN magic screen last night. And he watched. He wants to play with the dog on the monitor. Okay, this may end up being a problem. That puppy doesn't want to play with you. In fact, that's you. You know what? We're just having that kind of celebratory day. Why don't you hop down? Whoa! Come on, yaks! Hop down. Go look at the people in the window. All right, the phone number is 244-0077. All are welcome. Some are capable. You can email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter. You got a lot of tweets last night. At Radio Bradshaw, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw.
Did you say I personally got a lot of tweets last night?
I sent out, if you were following me, you did.
Oh, I'm following you, but I didn't have my Twitter on.
Oh, now Vader's coming to bug you.
That's all right. I like dogs.
Yeah, the Republican Tears feed was great. Just all around. I mean, rewind. 1, Obama wins. 2, Nate Silver. Someone needs to give this man, not just a football, all the footballs in the United States, and he should be able to spike them all. For all the talk. Did I not tell you to trust the math? Did I?
You did.
I nailed this. From Boswell losing.
You are sounding a lot like Sean Hannity or Michael Savage right now.
Unlike Savage and Hannity, I was right. This is one of the handicaps of being of my particular political persuasion. I don't have a bunch of idiots. I don't have the Hannitized, the residents of Glenbeckistan, or whatever the hell you would call people who would willingly listen to Mark Levin, who are just willing to go along with whatever I say. I have to actually back my stuff up.
You were right.
I nailed this.
But any way you look at it, I'm the one that won.
I don't know. The religious right had a pretty bad night last night.
You know what? I think we'll see some major changes. I think if
You will see some major changes, but I'm not sure. Even I wouldn't venture a guess as to what they're going to be. And if you're like me and you tuned in Fox News,
Marco Rubio is what it's going to be. It's what it's got to be. The Hispanic population voted unanimously for Obama, and I think almost unanimously.
he actually won a wider spread this year.
Yeah, it was bad.
The problem is the base.
But they're gonna bring out Marco Rubio. I guarantee it.
And is Marco Rubio going to say,
Vote for me.
shut up, Steve King?
Yeah, I don't.
He's going to say, shut up, Tom Tancredo. Shut
they're
up.
gonna. I think you'll see a lot of these guys just go by the wayside.
I don't know. I don't know if they can. I don't think. I mean, we have an example of this, the 1960s, and we saw when the Democrats purged the Dixiecrats, when the Civil Rights Act caused the South to flip. Lyndon Johnson was we lost the South for a generation. He undersold it. And the Republican Party is faced with either going through a similar metamorphosis, listening to Lindsey Graham who says we're not making enough angry white guys, or, what I'm hearing today, and I have to admit I tuned into some Rush Limbaugh just for Schadenfreude purposes. Why? To see what that side of the GOP. And this was an argument that was going on Fox News till like 3 a.m.
They don't even know how bad they lost yet.
No, they're still processing. I just hope no one was hurt when the Stop Obama Express that Sean Hannity has been engineering for the last 4 years went off the tracks so suddenly.
Ran them the crap over.
I hope no one was harmed. But we'll get into that, because if I'm a right-winger today and I have even an ounce... Where'd the dog go? Vader. Oh, there he is. If I have even an ounce of self-awareness, I'm probably a little miffed at my kind of conservative media universe, who for the last 6 months have been telling me what I want to hear, even if it holds very little relevance to reality. But we'll talk about that. I've got some fun clips. First, the rundown. All right, we all know Obama win. We saw the headline. Nice picture on the front page of the Register today. Boy, that endorsement was really pivotal, wasn't it? Iowa Democrat, and this one had me worried for a while, but Iowa Democrats are going to hold on to majority in the state Senate, which means we're not going to go full on, wingnut like Wisconsin did. So we have that. Boswell lost. I shed no tears. Again, Iowa 3 is going to be absolutely top-tier prime pickup candidate in 2014. Tom Latham is an empty suit. If it weren't for his friendship with John Boehner, a backbencher, he is a nothing burger, if you will. So, I shed no tears for Leonard Boswell. If anything, I'm a little miffed that he didn't step aside and let someone who was going to be more competitive ride on Obama's coattails versus holding Eric Holder in contempt of Congress and allow, a real Democrat to run for that seat. In Florida, Allen West, Tea Party hero, bought it. The voters of Missouri looked at Todd Aiken's Senate race, and they legitimately shut that thing down. Same thing in Indiana. Rape, definitely a big loser at the polls on election night. Richard Murdoch and Todd Aiken go. Michelle Bachmann almost bought it last night. As of about 2 this morning, there was like 1,000 vote difference. It may have gotten up to 1%, but it was in automatic recount territory for quite a while last night. But it looks like Bachmann survives. Steve King survives. Will we see Christy Vilsack perhaps relocate to Des Moines to make a real run in Iowa 3 in 2014? What else around the nation? Same-sex marriage had a very strong night. 4 for 4. 3 states give it the okay. a proposed ban in Minnesota goes down to defeat. And here in the state of Iowa, Justice David Wiggins is retained. Vanderplatz, as is so often his role, loses. Someone open the door? What are they doing out there? Vader, come here. Point being, we had a damn good night. For all the talk of, oh, it's a nail biter and we don't know and it's so close and you better tune into Wolf Blitzer. And throw him in here and shut that door. Come here, Vader. Vader, come here. Come here. Thanks. You can hang out here. For all the talk of a nail biter, for all the talk, oh, we could be here way into the night. It was over relatively early. Even if the races weren't called, as soon as it became mostly clear that Obama had won Virginia, looked like he was going to win Florida, and it was almost a boom. Iowa and Ohio were called. That with the states we knew the president would carry out west, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, it was over, and that was when most of the networks called it. And the math works. The narratives, the gut feelings, the hunches, the intuitions, the insider sources, the leak, all shown to be, well, useless, which is what, in the end, they really are. There's very little insider information. There's very little, I'm an experienced honcho, and if you don't watch Morning Joe, you're not going to know what's going on. Turns out that was exposed for the claptrap that it was. Just around a good night. All right, let's go to the video, because this is... Can we first take a moment? I haven't heard anything from them today. I hope they're okay. Let's look at the final map for the unskewed polls people. Remember? They had it all figured out. They knew what the map was going to be. They, along with Dick Morris and Rush Limbaugh and all those guys, called it, this is going to be... I mean... You get the chance, you get the impression you're being lied to, people? Like, that's a fever dream. But you couldn't explain that to righties. They bitterly clung to it.
Well, I was doing another political talk show for the other side yesterday.
How'd that go?
Well, I thought they were delusional while they were sitting there, because they were sitting around going, well, I don't think any of this bad mouthing of that they did themselves in the Republican primaries did any harm. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, it's the spread the blame.
Yeah, it's a
fest. The Scots guy on TV would be impressed with the amount of fertilizer that's being thrown about.
So far, my group's been blamed. The conservative Christians that stayed home.
Victoria Jackson damned you particularly.
Probably.
Which I loved the movie UHF. I don't think she was particularly great on Saturday Night Live, but something in her head is just broken. But she was, damn you Christians for not voting.
Yeah, no, I heard that several times, and across my Facebook, I got, are you happy now? And it kind of...
Are you? I guess is the question. Okay.
Yeah, I'm perfectly
then
satisfied.
Then you're cool.
Yeah, I am. I'm perfectly satisfied with the results. I still believe in the same God I did the day before, and I think he's just as sovereign. So we're good. But it was really weird because yesterday I was sitting around, and you had to have known by the day the polls opened that this wasn't going to end well, right?
No, they didn't. They were to the bitter end.
And they were going, no, this is going to be fine. All that crap talking we did in the primary, that's not going to hurt anybody. And it's like, yeah, it convinced a lot of people that were thinking maybe we'd vote Republican to not.
The crap talking, though, that's part of a primary. The goal of a primary should be to forge better candidates.
That is by far the nastiest Republican primary we've had in years.
I don't know. No one was shot, so we've definitely improved since the 19th century.
Yeah.
No one got caned.
I'm saying in our lifetime, Bradshaw.
But I think the bigger issue there is, hey, you know what? If you forge, steel into a stronger sword, all right, that's one thing. But I don't care. You could have the best blacksmith in the world. You put a turd in there, and you're not going to get.
Well, I'm still part of
a
this
usable weapon. And I mean, I'm sorry. Mitt Romney was the only legitimately electable candidate you guys had on that stage.
I don't see. And first of all, I would agree with that, but I would say by and large that's because we didn't put any of the real candidates. I think we're running them all.
Well,
2016.
Well, again, the A team, the realistic candidates looked at the map and realized it was hopeless. It wasn't going to happen.
Well, and one thing I'll give the Democratic Party, and I even said as much on Facebook, I was legitimately impressed with the work ethic.
It was a ground game second time. I mean, it was a ground game and data mining operation.
From the send us your wedding money, rather than get a gift at Target.
That was the stuff that got made fun of.
You know what? It worked. I don't care if it got made fun of. It was genius.
But, when Obama won in 2008, he didn't just close up shop and let's pick this thing up in 4 years where we left off. There have been Obama for America workers in this state working round the clock for the last 4 years.
I've never heard of Democratic guys really doing a lot of door knocking.
Oh, we've always done.
Well, not our age guys, Bradshaw.
Oh, no, definitely there was a youth component. A lot of time, it's, union guys and old retired teachers and librarians.
Exactly. And this time, it was all the kids. I mean, I was getting a sandwich across the street, and somebody asked me who I was voting for, which I think is phenomenally rude, and I told them, I voted Virgil Good. And they're like, I don't even know who that is. And I said, well, me neither.
Roy Moore wasn't on the ballot here in Iowa, so you were disappointed.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually want to vote for J. Michael McCoy.
I actually did some phone banking last night.
I was impressed.
You've seen The Dark Knight Rises, right? The scene where Catwoman disappears on Batman.
I've not seen that movie.
Spoiler alert.
No.
I was hung up on. It was like total role reverse. I was like, so that's what that feels like.
Yeah.
I've hung up on thousands of people in my my line of work. It was weird to have it happen to me, but hi, I'm with the Obama firm. Click.
You know what I like?
Most of the people, though, had already voted.
I talked to those people several times yesterday and the day before when we had a couple door knockers. And they're like, are you going to vote for Obama? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, are you voting for Romney? No. And they're like, oh. And
then the mood lifts.
Yeah, the friend of my enemy is my friend, or the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how it goes. But last night
we are drinking beer together.
I know
it is delicious too.
The 312, you gotta like it. The Goose Island stuff.
I've liked 312 for a while.
Yeah, this is it's been a long 4 years. I've earned this. And there's a Burger King bathroom just downstairs.
It's pretty nasty though.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know that I'd want to do anything.
I'm just saying while we're celebrating here.
I mean, you do have your dog with you, but that's a little weird. Sorry.
Actually, I'm going to gay marry pot. I think that's the result.
I was going to say the biggest winner, Colorado. I hated Colorado until last night.
If you are a gay stoner, you are living in a brand new world today. The recreational pot initiatives did well, almost as well as gay marriage. Let's go to the tape. Let's take a break. When we come back, I guess there were people that actually paid money to see Glenn Beck. I just sit around his doom room and kibitz about the election. I don't believe you. Little gloomy in there, and we've got the tape. Bill O'Reilly. I guess
people still like Glenn Beck.
Bit of a shot. He's not, once he's off of Fox, he's not exactly influential to the public as a whole, but he's got his core of people.
I bet he's done after this.
Oh no! Are you kidding me?
You think he'll still go?
Okay, you're a reasonably sane person of the Christian persuasion.
Sure.
How successful in that line of work have the end times
You know what I think?
Preachers, I have the answers. Stay tuned for salvation.
The problem with Glenn Beck is the same problem that Mitt Romney had. He's a Mormon, and I think that the Christian right will, by and large, write him off.
I think the question, will Billy Graham go back to believing that Mormonism is
Billy
a cult?
Graham never quit. It was
He took it off his webpage.
Yeah, but that's because he's 96, and once he got to lose.
Okay, son Franklin took it off, but
they don't care.
We'll check in with the Doom Room. We'll watch literally Fox News eat itself. And I guess we'll check in with the President of the United States for 4 more years. Again, just a great night all around. I love to actually say, I told you so. I told you so to all the people who are like, oh my God, are you really sure? I'm very nervous. Did I tell you not to be nervous? Did I tell you not to worry about the state of Iowa? Did I tell you things would work out just fine? Did I tell you to calm down, relax? Did I tell you over and over again for months, don't panic? Now will you believe me? All right, take a break, and we'll go to the video. I believe including Donald Trump calling for armed rebellion against the United States of America. You think I'm making this up?
Sadly, no.
You're learning. I don't get to do that. I'm not Rush. All right, we'll be back right after this on The Bradshaw Show at Webcast One. Cheers, and thanks for watching.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
Ever feel like there's more to life? God offers more. Chat now with an online coach at groundwire.net.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We know how to get down here. Oh, you see a dog on the
Stop
screen?
What you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. I look funny, but yo, I'm making money, see? So yo,
Dog, get
world,
down.
I hope you're ready for me. Now,
All right, 155, Brad Show with you. Spiking the football here on Webcast One. And in the days and months to come, I think we can spend some quality time. We can do a lot of dissecting of what went wrong and where does the right wing go from here. I mean, even Jennifer Rubin, who we'll talk. She's the right wing blogger for the Washington Post, and been one of those. And every cycle has them. This is great news for insert our candidate's name here, no matter what it is. But some rather stunning confessions. But even, I tweeted, credit where credit is due. Even she said, gay marriage is a dead issue. Ponder that. We're not that far removed from 2004 when Republicans were using it as a way to draw their people to the polls. And now it is a hindrance. It hurts them. Remember when Republicans were claiming that Obama had lost Catholics? Actually won the Catholic vote. That he could lose the Jewish vote. Nah, won that. Actually ran up the score with Hispanics. Yeah, I'm guessing we're not going to see a Republican filibuster of a DREAM Act live on Univision again. Just a hunch. Or, unfortunately, again, you go to war with the base you have, not the base you want. The Republican Party might just be forced. If you were watching Fox last night, it was like a nonstop snipe fest. It was we need to change and adapt. This country has moved past, what we're selling. Versus, kind of the Limbaugh, O'Reilly. Charles Krauthammer was very, we are not going to compromise. If we just run a real conservative next time, we will win. As a card-carrying member of the ACLU, can I just say, please do. If it weren't for the Tea Party, the Republican sort of Hail Mary response to two wave elections in a row. Magically, in spite of Karl Rove's math, Republicans got their clock cleaned in 2006. Then came the 2008 landslide, which left Republicans without the House, without the Senate, without the White House. So what do? Well, let's create some organizations that pretty much oppose the government doing anything. This was the Tea Party. And you had a lot of disenchanted Republicans, with their Gadsden flags and rascal scooters, demanding the government do nothing about anything ever. And, man, they took that ball and they ran with it because it was the only ball they had. Now, without them, Republicans probably have the Senate right now. Todd Akin, Richard Murdoch, Sharon Engel, Linda McMahon, of the wrestling McMahons, over the last 3 years has run for the Senate twice, dropped between $75 and $100 million of her own money, and is 0 for 2. Christine O'Donnell, she's not a witch, she's you. Again, the most insulting phrase since you belong at Applebee's. Viable candidates being rhinoed out of the party. Does anyone on earth believe that Dick Lugar would not be a senator right now if he had survived the Republican primary? And here's a guy with a 77% lifetime rating from the American Conservative Union. Murdoch tied him to, Obama's favorite Republican. Goes down in flames to not exactly a flaming liberal in Joe Donnelly, my old congressman when I lived in South Bend. Republicans Tea Party. We can't, let Detroit go bankrupt, was the phrase. If Mitt Romney had just, bucked that trend. But again, he was running for office, for Pete's sake. If he had just said, hey, you know what, this is the right thing to do. There's 2 million jobs, 1.5 million jobs at stake. The American automobile industry is at stake. This is something we need to do. What would Ohio have looked like last night? Well, we'll never know. If he hadn't, Governor Romney might have had a swinging chance. But candidate Romney, not even close. All right. Let's go to the tape, shall we? This was kind of boom, boom. Iowa was called, and then Ohio, which basically wrapped up the election. Karl Rove on Fox. Just go to the Fox, because this is, they're literally arguing with each other.
Camp has real doubts about the call that's been made by us and I guess other networks about Ohio. They do not believe that Ohio is in the Obama camp. I just got an email from a top Romney person. I said, do you agree with our call? He said, not really. You went through this in 2000. You almost went through it in 2004. Do you believe that Ohio has been settled?
No, I don't.
So you're not saying that Obama isn't going to win, but you're just saying he hasn't won it yet.
I think this is premature. We got a quarter of the vote.
I understand what Carl's saying, but if you look at some of these counties that are still left out there, there are votes, a lot of votes left for Obama.
I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but we got to be careful about calling things when we have 991 votes separating the two candidates and a quarter of the vote yet to count.
Well, folks,
thanks.
So maybe not so fast.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. It's great to have you guys here.
That's awkward.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Karl Rove said that we should figure out what the deal is.
Try to get to the bottom of this. Out the door. They used to keep them right here.
They literally have to leave the studio.
And then for some reason, whoa, careful. Then for some reason, they moved them down the hall. We were too close. We were thinking this wouldn't be necessary, but as it turns out, so we'll do a little interrogation and see if they stand by their call, notwithstanding the doubts that Karl Rove has attempted to place.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this on cable news.
You tell me whether you stand by your call in Ohio, given the doubts Karl Rove just raised.
We're actually quite comfortable with the call in Ohio. Basically, right now, there's just too much Obama vote that's outstanding there that we know is going to come in, that is going to be Obama. And while, yes, there are a number of counties out there that will be Romney, the largest thing that's outstanding right now is the Cleveland area. It's Cuyahoga. This is Democratic territory, and we're quite comfortable with the idea that Obama will carry Ohio.
Look, we've had one instance where something was prematurely called.
You know it well.
They said this is not going to be another one of those.
Maybe not. Seems to me to be a very early call with 991 votes separating the two candidates.
I went back there, talked to Arnon Mishkin, Chris Stirewalt, Michael Barone's back there. They're all looking at the same.
They're very smart guys. They're very smart guys. I'm just saying that in terms of public perception, it looks a little odd for us to be making a call with 991 votes.
But you know how the science works. They know the counties and they know the expected outcome, the makeup of the remaining electorate.
This is what happens when reality enters the bubble, much like when potassium enters the bowl of water. It doesn't go well.
What happens when potassium enters a bowl of water? I'm sorry.
Didn't you go to science class? They didn't teach that
at what? Go ahead and say it, you bigot.
What? Not you bigot. Your religious school? Your madrasa?
Oh, you're such a bigot.
What's bigoted about that?
What's bigoted about that? They didn't teach that at your religious school.
Every science class drops the little bit of potassium in.
Actually, truth be told, I'm a GED holder, so they could have taught it, and I wasn't there.
Fair enough. It doesn't react well. It kind of poof.
Oh.
All those alkali metals. They're more potent ones, which is why they don't get used in high school science classes than potassium. But that's the one that everyone seems to know, so I'm going to go with that. It gets better, though. And don't forget, NBC is the network that employs Donald Trump to host Gary Busey and the cast of Celebrity Apprentice. Donald Trump went nuts last night. I don't know if it was bad hair.
Last night?
Yeah, I mean, more so than normal. I mean, Donald Trump is a masterful publicity hound. I mean, he's very good.
Indeed.
At this.
He's convinced people to pay him to
The
build
facade
towers.
kind of fell down. This was Brian Williams last night, responding to NBC's own Donald Trump. Read some of the tweets that show up on the screen here, and listen to what Brian
to
Williams
pass
has to
this
say.
along, it nonetheless is, as they say, out there and getting an airing tonight, so you might as well know about it. Donald Trump, who has driven well past the last exit to relevance and veered into something closer to irresponsible here, is tweeting tonight. Here's a sampling. More votes equals a loss revolution. This election is a total sham and a travesty. We are not a democracy. Disgusting injustice. The world is laughing at us, and so on. So there you have that. That happened.
I don't know. Donald Trump, I think, was this close to firing on Fort Sumter last night.
Can we just play the Beck video? I just want to see Beck.
Okay, this was Glenn Beck brought some friends to the Doom Room, and the evening started out very, very jovial.
I wonder if he's eating out of cans today.
No, I guess he had been fasting, and he finally had ice cream, so it was a bit of a sugar rush. But I think Beck fell into that trap of buying your own, kind of how you saw Karl Rove react there, of buying your own press clippings.
All right, here you go.
I think Beck did the same thing, and as the night went on, the mood turned a little more sour.
Glenn, I will say something that unquestionably will be controversial. But regardless of who wins this race, in my opinion, it invalidates the whole election. If we failed to provide the people that are defending our right to vote with an opportunity to vote, at the same time that we fly Air Force One all over the world for not only their president but his family, and we can't afford to fund a program for those young men and women that are serving this country, we can't give them the opportunity to vote, it invalidates the whole election.
Education has just been, it's just destroyed the country. How long, David, if we don't take on education, how long before we just, I mean, it may be tonight, I don't know, but how long before we just don't survive?
Our schools every year graduating another class of anti-American Americans, Americans with no faith in Americanism, Europeanized Americans who believe in a sort of quasi-socialist aristocracy as opposed to a republic
What's
of
a quasi?
individuals, a God-fearing republic of individuals. These words are never spoken, except ironically, to students. How long do we have? We're on thin ice. I think if we don't have radical change in education over the next 10 years, we're going to become another European country.
Yeah.
We're going to be France, we're going to be Germany, we're going to be Italy, we're going to be England, because that's where we're going.
I think we'll be lucky if we have 10 years.
We have a nation of people that don't think for themselves.
That's right.
They buy the sound bites. They sit mindlessly and read People magazine and watch some Oprah or The View.
Sensing
and
a
they
lot
don't
of love
think
for America here.
themselves, so they buy the sound bites, and it's been very effective.
This is showing me that the body of America is even sicker than I thought it was.
Right.
I'm fascinated by our country because we have changed so rapidly. 12 years ago, I could say with real assurance I knew who Americans were. And I can't say that anymore.
Thank the folks at Right Wing Watch. They were kind of live blogging through the night. That was, notice?
I used leaves.
I would have gone with tumbleweed, but if they have that graphic.
I think the thing and nobody wants to talk about this, but
they don't seem to really like Americans all that much.
Well, they're talking about people, by and large, as if we all voted for Obama, and that's just not true. I think it's entirely possible and likely that a large part of why they ran is they ran a weak candidate. The guys like me wouldn't and couldn't get behind. My Facebook feed is full of a bunch of people who are like, I watched Jersey Shore last night. Oh, Sons of Anarchy was awesome. I don't care how this turns out.
Well, I mean, that's part of it, but even if a candidate were to run tailored to your specific needs, though.
Well, I lost last night regardless.
Remember when Mitt Romney, right, before the first debate, was still running as a severely conservative.
He was never severely conservative.
Well, that's what he ran as.
Well,
it wasn't until the first debate that moderate Mitt came out.
Nobody
and all
really
of a sudden,
thought that about him.
Well, all of a sudden, it started to be something less than an 80-20 blowout in the odds.
I mean, perhaps I'm an informed voter, but I've known about Romney Care since the day he penned it into law in Massachusetts.
Well, yeah, because it was Republican orthodoxy.
Absolutely.
Until a Democrat did it, then it became the most...
I don't know that it was orthodoxy.
anything.
I mean, when I heard about it, I just said absolutely.
It
but
was
that was
Bob
a false...
Dole's health care plan. The Heritage Foundation sponsored it.
When
Jim
Mitt Romney
DeMint
passed that, though,
Jim
Bradshaw,
DeMint, a Tea Party darling, said it was a model for the nation.
Well, they were talking about the states' rights aspect. When that got passed, a lot of Republican talking heads were like, this is a bad thing. We don't like this. I know you think that's not the case, but real Republicans, when Romney Care got passed, said, I'm not sure I like this.
I know a number of Republicans were told they hated it.
Sure.
And
I still
ran
hate
with it.
I don't really. It needs so much reform. Let's reform it, and then I can tell you how I feel.
Let's get single payer in there, and that'll be one heck of a reform. And by the way, business would love it. And ultimately, when we do have single payer in this country, it will be the business community. It'll be the Fortune 500s who say, we need this to compete with the rest of the world. That's ultimately what will turn the tide.
I don't know that we should compete with the rest of the world. We need to continue to be the shining star in the world.
Well, our businesses still have to compete. This is a global economy.
Yeah, and I think we need to step that back. I think we need to step up production and quit trying to compete with the rest of the world, but outdo them.
Well, yeah, but it's hard to do that again when our employers are taking a health care cost.
It's hard to do that when we have NAFTA.
Well, that's a different story. But yeah, on the grand scale, GM, Chrysler, Apple, are paying healthcare costs that, frankly, their international competitors aren't.
Well, I think we need to retract NAFTA and then see what we got.
Well, yeah, I would argue, free trade, but free trade is one of those things that a lot of liberals don't like, but it's part of the Democratic platform.
Sure.
That's where, same-sex marriage is going to end up. You might not like it.
I'm not concerned with that.
But opposing it is, same way you don't see Republicans running on ending no-fault divorce.
I think one of the messages
mainstream Republicans
that went out last night was that the church has lost its power. And that's a very sad and great message.
I don't think it's lost its power. But the same way you say, they see America voting as a whole. Christians as a whole aren't Bob Vanderplaats. They aren't.
Yeah, but the problem is Bob Vanderplaats.
He's just
he's saying stuff that I would never say in ways I would never say it, but we'd vote the same.
But even like the Huckabees, like that, he's not a kind of icon representing the religious right. Neither is Ralph Reed or Jerry Falwell.
I don't think
Brian
we need
Fisher.
I don't think we need
declared
icons.
Last night. Brian Fisher was the money man behind Vanderplaats's first judicial attempt. Compared last night to Pearl Harbor. He's a fun.
It's not
individual.
Harbor.
Todd Starnes at Fox News was already calling for impeachment before midnight last night.
Well, I think you'll hear a lot of that, but
I just want people to remember this sort of stuff when the Republicans
accuse Zimbalta Benghazi what was it? What's the other guy behind Jon Stewart comes in right after
Colbert?
Colbert said, he's like, I got two words for you: Zimbalta Benghazi. I don't know how it works out, but it spells impeachment. And I just started rolling.
All right, we got a long way to go and a lot to talk about when it comes to what the hell will Republicans do next, because the Civil War is coming. Steve Deace said it, so it's got to be true. When we come back, however, we're putting the band back together. Mac.
I'm really scared about this.
He's meeting the puppy right now. Vader's in here. Quick break, and when we come back, well, it's Obama's world. But Mac and I will join together in it next here, www.thebradshaw.show.com on Webcast One Live. Back right after this. We're going to go for another half hour.
From the Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Stop what you're
All
doing,
right,
because I'm about to
217.
ruin the image and the style.
Going to get a little long today for a very special reason. You and I have not done this in years. For most of that time, I don't think either of us would be willing to be in the same room with one another.
Now. December
8th?
12th? 8th.
Somewhere in that range.
2009. But I'm having, well, I guess I don't need a headphone. If somebody calls in, I need to get my headphones figured out, but right now they're not.
No one call. I don't want to talk to any callers. They're boring.
Now, the callers are what make the show.
No, they're not.
They're the most interesting thing about the show.
They don't call it the morons who call Rush Limbaugh show. They don't call it the Hanatized masses.
That's just because you don't like callers. You don't like
I
truth.
love callers. I just want better ones. And so far, I haven't figured out technology that makes that happen.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with technology. I think it has to do with who sits in the other seat, and I'm here.
I think you're here just so I'll put in a good word with you with the death panels that are coming.
Yeah, I need you to...
I can't get you out of the FEMA camp, unfortunately. Now, I guess we can let the facade down. We're coming for your guns, and we're sending Acorn volunteers to your homes starting tonight. And by the way, you're going to get gay married whether you want to or not. Probably to a bag of weed. I'm surprised you're okay after... Vader, leave him alone.
He's fine. He's
Okay.
fine. He's fine.
I'm surprised you're okay after last night. I remember you after 08.
Yeah. No, I have a sense of peace about me. I must admit to you.
You're on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Oh, good. Thank you.
You are kind of a space cadet, and I mean that in the nicest possible way.
I just it is what it is. I believe that God is a sovereign God, and He is in charge, and He wanted Barack Obama to be president again.
And Alan West to lose, and Democrats to... If the Republicans, and they were smart enough to see this coming, the 2010 redistricting, not every state is as straightforward as Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty just, cut it in squares and call it good.
Yeah.
Other states where it's a far more partisan process... you have, some that'll be like Windsor Heights, and then like one strip of road up to Boone, and just some of these crazy districts to maintain the balance of power.
We almost have a four corners with the 4th district because they all kind of come into Polk.
We have a world-class redistricting system.
Well, what I thought
here
was
in Iowa.
interesting is as the vote is now being counted, and there are still ballots to be counted.
There were people voting at 2:00 this morning in Miami-Dade.
John McCain has almost 3 million more votes than Romney had, or Romney's got.
I think there was definitely a depressed turnout all around.
Well, I think
That's what happens when you have an incumbent running.
I think those were the, if I may be so bold, this is your program, but I think it was the bigoted Christians who couldn't get past that Mitt Romney wasn't one of them 100%. And it is the biggest problem that Christianity has today, and that's us Christians. We're hypocritical, and we're bigoted, and we are childish, and I think that's why.
How much of it, because 4 or 5 years ago, I would have agreed with you strongly. The example I give is if you used to listen to the Glenn Beck show. Glenn Beck is an adult Mormon convert, and the quickest way to get hung up on him.
To get him to hang up on you, mean?
Yeah, to get him to hang up on you was to mention his Mormonism.
Really?
4 or 5 years ago. It was the absolute quickest way. With, I would assume, the understanding that a decent percentage of his audience would be very upset by that revelation. That's not the case anymore. He is doing the I'm a Mormon videos. He's very upfront about it. And that really started about, the time that Mitt Romney became a national candidate. But when I started in talk radio, that was not the case. He was very kind of just keep it on. Like, he wouldn't deny it. He wouldn't lie about it or anything. But it was quickly, we're going to hang up on the caller and we're going to change subjects so we don't highlight it. Alternative hypothesis. In a YouTube world that has been the downfall of more than a few candidates. There's hours and hours and hours of Mitt Romney, debating Ted Kennedy and saying he was going to be stronger, for gay rights and be stronger, defending, Roe versus Wade as governor, as a Senate candidate. All those positions were out there. And while it's absolutely true, I can come up here and say, hey, I used to be a strong believer in X. And you know what? I had a change of heart. And my life experience has taken me to a different place. And my journey has shown me the error of my ways. Anyone on earth can get one of those, 2 of those, 3. When you're buying them by the dozen, people start to go,
I don't think.
Would you like to see the flyer of Mitt Romney wishing everyone a happy Pride weekend?
Well, but the man was governor of one of the most liberal states in the United States, and he had to represent, well, it doesn't matter. We don't need to hash it out. Obama won. He won decidedly. Here's a couple questions I have for you, and I'm going to try to look all over on my Facebook here because I posted this on Facebook today, and I thought it was a fairly good question. All right. 4 more years. He's got them now. All right. So this country, let's play the game. Let's look ahead 4 years and tell me what you see America look like. First with jobless rate.
I think we get back to normal unemployment. And this is outside the political sphere. If you look at the financial advisors, Moody's, for example, forecast in the next 4 years, we're set to gain 12 million jobs.
Okay.
That probably has something to do with the reason Mitt Romney was promising
12 million jobs. I get that.
And this is why this election was so pivotal. Because right or wrong, this is just one of those things that simply is. If you're in office, you get credit. And one of the things that I was afraid of was you would see, some outside, miscellaneous trivia, uncontrollable, like if a Greece were to implode, a true Euro crisis that would affect our economy because we live in a global world. If we were to see that come out, Mitt Romney, take the reins, be president, whether, again, he had any influence or not. But take the credit for that, and all of a sudden we've got another 30 years of trickle-down economics.
Okay, so I've got a list here, and I'm going to write down what you say, and then we'll sit down here in 4 years, and I want to see how well you do. What will be the jobless rate at this time in 2016? Is it going to be 7.9?
No, I mean, you're looking 5, 5.5.
5.5.
What is kind of standard unemployment.
All right, 5 to 5.5. All right. The next thing would be the deficit. What do you think the deficit will be?
That remains to be seen. Again, I'm not a deficit peacock. I am Chuck Grassley before a Democrat took the White House.
Okay. So what? But
honestly, I
is it
hope
going to be
it's
20
bigger.
trillion?
I hope it's bigger. This is a time to spend. We can literally get money cheaper than the rate of inflation.
So 20 trillion would be fine with you?
Absolutely.
30 trillion?
25, I think, would be.
25. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you would agree. World War II pulled us out of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
What did we do? We spent a ton of money.
Right, but
we spent it all over the place.
But here's the difference. Where'd we get that money from?
We borrowed it. We printed it. Mostly from ourselves.
Right.
Which is, by the way, where most of our debt lays.
Okay, where is the debt and the loans coming from now?
Mostly ourselves.
No, China.
What percentage of the debt do you believe China owes?
I have never been able to get a true figure.
I can give you a true figure.
Okay.
8.
I've heard 17.
17 would be wrong.
Okay.
8%.
All right.
Most of it is owned by us, whether it's the federal government in the lockbox or it's private individuals.
Okay. How about healthcare costs? Are they going to be higher or lower for you and I?
I would hope lower, but unfortunately, we still have a free market, for-profit healthcare system that are going to wring out every dollar they absolutely can.
Right. Do you know how many people are on welfare right now? It's 46 million.
There's 40, something like that.
I think it's 46, 47.
I don't know.
That's
I don't-
on food stamps.
On food stamps.
Yeah, all right. So how many people will be on food stamps? 47 million currently. What do you think it'll be? You think it'll be down or up?
No, it'd be down. I wouldn't give you a number.
Below 46 mil. Okay.
Yeah.
What about welfare? Higher or lower?
Lower. Oh man. Job market improves.
Okay.
That goes in with the higher employment. That one's a safe bet.
Jerusalem going to be safe?
Yeah.
Okay. Iran going to have a bomb?
No. Dude, Iran's been 6 months away from a nuclear weapon since 1979.
So Iran won't have nukes.
No, in fact, this kind of got caught up in the Sandy. Did you see they're stopping their uranium enrichment?
I heard that, but I didn't believe it. So,
Well,
all right. So,
and they will be going to the tables. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. We have crippled their economy. No bombs were dropped. No boots were on the ground.
right. I understand
Their
that.
economy is absolutely in the tank. The value of their currency has dropped, 40%?
And the other thing, they've got an election coming up in the spring, and I can't say his name.
Ahmadinejad, I mean,
he can't run again.
Is a puppet.
They've got limitations.
He's not calling the shots.
All right. You say our debt to China is 7%. Is that what you say? 8. So you think it'll be higher or lower?
I'd say it'd be about the same. Again, I'm not a deficit peacock. I'm a Republican with a Republican president.
I don't know what a deficit peacock is.
It's the condescending term for what the very serious people in the media would call a deficit hawk. The people who are just zeroed in on the debt and the deficit, like Chuck Grassley.
Okay.
Would you agree he spent a good chunk of the last 4 years complaining about the debt and the
Yeah,
deficit?
absolutely. He should have.
Why then, when Republicans were in charge, when he wasn't getting federal money to build rainforests in Iowa, he was putting together Medicare Part D, which was a huge government busting, spending extravaganza that was actually made more expensive by making it law that Medicare, the federal government, with its enormous buying power, cannot bargain for cheaper drug prices like Walmart does. That doesn't sound like someone who's very concerned about the debt and the deficit when they're in charge. That's what I consider a deficit peacock. There are absolutely people concerned about the debt and the deficit, but the people you see standing in front of a TV camera aren't among them.
Okay, here's a trick question.
Okay.
What will the national budget be in 2015?
I would assume we could actually, The budget is irrelevant. It's the appropriations bills that actually spend money.
Okay, well, will we have a budget?
Probably. I think you're going to see a lot of the absolute firewall. It's going to be seen as an electoral loser.
How can talk to me like I'm a 6-year-old.
Right.
How can we as a country operate without a budget?
We do operate with.
I understand.
We
How
don't
do we
have the. It's a political document. A budget, the Reagan budget, the Ryan budget. Those don't actually spend any money. It's appropriations bills.
No, I understand
still have
how
no
it works,
problem.
but
those are what actually assign the money to be spent.
all right, marijuana. Legal for anybody to use with doctors is going to be more.
I think you'll see with the success last night. It wasn't 100%, but yeah, I think you'll see an expansion in states that have ballot measures.
Medical use only. I mean, there were a couple of states last night that passed it just for.
I think you'll see it on the recreational side as well. I think this is. And again, we still, in some counties in this country, have prohibition. We have dry counties and the like. We still have blue laws. I don't think we're ever going to get to 100%, but I think you will see a lessening of the criminality. I guess that's probably not the most artful way of saying it. And I hope that the Obama administration, who has actually been pretty strict on cramping down on dispensaries, like in California, we'll lay off that because, frankly, we have much bigger issues.
Homosexual marriage, is that going to be 50 states?
Yeah, well, we're going to see probably a Supreme Court test of DOMA. I think what we've seen, and I've talked about this for years, this is a wedge issue that is losing its edge. I think Bob Vanderplaats probably gives it one more shot in an off-year election to make some sort of hay because, let's be honest, that's how he's making it rain these days. But it's absolutely literally a dying off issue when you look at the age breakdowns of support for same-sex marriage.
Right.
About the age of 40, opposition skyrockets. And unfortunately, they're not making new people made in 1947 anymore.
All right, one question, then I want to go back to the gay marriage question.
Right.
Will we see a tightening down of abortion laws? In other words, abortion less acceptable? Like after, 12 weeks?
Yes and no. I mean, for all the talk that Democrats are just offering abortion on demand, I mean, we still are the party of Bart Stupak and the Stupak Amendment. We still have politicians who will support the global gag rule. I think that is still a wedge. I think it still draws people to the polls. Vader,
he's fine. He's fine.
I think it's still going to be a contentious issue, but I think you will see, probably not among the base and certainly not among the pundit class, the talk radio and the Fox News folks, but those people that were writing Karl Rove his $350 million worth of checks are going to want to have a serious discussion about, is this a winning strategy? Does it cost us more than we gain?
All right. I remember when you and I were on the air a lot. We were on the air together, and we talked a lot about gay marriage. And we'll have to get into that position as we get into our show a little bit more.
Now, you want to clarify that statement because people might take it the wrong way.
Okay.
I would ask Bob Vanderplaats to marry me. Justice Wiggins is retained, so I made people that promise. So next time I see him, I'll ask
him to marry. I could probably get him on the show.
I'm a top. I'm just saying.
And you and I used to have this conversation sarcastically, so I want to have it with you legitimately. If we're going to have marriage be outside an adult man and woman, why can we not have polygamy? And I'm not saying I'm in favor of it, but
the argument
if we're going to
against
go down that road,
polygamy would be societal harm. And you need to look no further, not just the Warren Jeffs, because obviously he's a deranged, sicko, pedophile pervert, but you just look at the societal effects of polygamy. And what you end up with is a lot of young men in a non-pederast, polygamous society. They call them the lost boys. Now, that works in these little isolated situations. You know what I'm talking about when I say, like, the polygamist communities. They kind of flaunt the law slightly. We look the other way because they're not causing huge harm. Lost boys is a huge problem because there's not enough women to support, 4, 5, 6.
So what I hear you
men.
saying is that polygamy can turn into pedophile.
No.
No?
What you end up with is a lot of sexually frustrated young men with no outlook that leads to marriage. You see women congregating around, typically older. These are just the real world examples
So
you have.
what you're saying,
older, more well off, more established in the community. Men, and that leads to problems. You want to see the problem that sexual repression can cause. Look to the Middle East. The problem isn't that these guys want 72 virgins. It's the problem they are virgins. That's what.
All right, so it doesn't lead to pedophile. It leads to older boys marrying too young of a girl.
No, it leads to younger men with no prospects for marriage relationship, and that typically turns bad.
How does that turn bad?
What happens when you have thousands upon hundreds of thousands, potentially, of young males with no prospects to marriage? I mean, game that one out a generation or two.
Because there's now more than one woman to every man?
Yeah. I mean, you can actually argue there is societal harm.
Well, you know what I hear? I'm sorry, I've got a catch in my throat today. You know what I hear you saying? I hear you, the same argument coming out of your mouth in 2012 against polygamy that was coming out of my mouth 10 years ago about gay marriage.
But the societal harm taught, we have, again, real-world examples, like the state of Iowa. I mean, has your life been impacted by same-sex marriage existing?
Yes.
How so?
My daughter decided it was okay to be bi.
Decided?
Yeah, well, that's what you are when you're gay. You decide to be gay.
I don't know. I never sat down at the age of 12 and like, all right, here's a copy of Playgirl, here's a copy of Playboy. Which one do I like, better?
I did.
Which one's going to give me a stiffy?
In sixth grade, I was staying all night at Mark Winchell's house, and he leaned over and tried to kiss me, and I pulled back and I said, oh, I know I like boys. So for me, it was a decision, and I don't...
Mac, you mean you didn't like boys?
Did I say
no,
it wrong?
let him roll with this.
No,
I don't like boys.
I'm obligated to help Mac.
It didn't do anything for you.
Right, but if I wanted it to do something for me, I could have. I could have allowed my mind to go there. I could have been insecure enough to say that, and knowing, because I went to church, that wasn't acceptable to God. I could have denied God, and I could have betrayed him, and I could have sinned against him.
I think then you're just arguing for Albert Kinsey, which says, it's not a binary. It's not a 1 or a 0. It's a scale, and even if you're 98% one way, there's still that 2%.
Well,
I think that's just human sexuality.
But that's
at work. But
that's based on decision.
You didn't have. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't. I never sat down and said, okay, you know what? I'm only going to have, as high school, science class, I'm only going to have nocturnal emissions about 5'8" redheads.
Mm-hmm.
All right, brain just did that itself, and thanks for that. There was no Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch, even when he was walking around in the tidy whities. That's not where my mind. That's not where my set of urges went.
Science tells us, and I'm a big science guy. You know that. Science tells us that there's no genetic, chromosomal, genal difference between someone who claims that they're gay and someone who claims that they're heterosexual. There's no difference. So it's about a mental disorder. It's about a decision.
Now, up until 1973, it was considered a mental disorder.
Okay.
We've moved on past that.
Well, but it's about a decision. It's about a decision that somebody made to be a certain way.
I think
as society continues to be more comfortable with it, it makes it easier for people to act gay. and become victims because now the gays are they're being bullied and they're oppressed. And
Well, they are, and they always have been. Look at the suicide rates among gay, bi, and trans.
then why in God's name would you choose to be
teens.
that?
That's a really good question that you should ask yourself
Okay.
when you believe that it's a choice.
Why do people abuse drugs? Why do people abuse alcohol? Why do people cut themselves?
Well, talking about substance abuse, that's usually to fill a hole. Fill
Right. That's the reason people choose to be gay. It's to fill a hole.
Going to leave that one laying there. I think what you're seeing now is far less societal pressure to conform. You know, back in the 50s, they had confirmed bachelors.
Well,
you familiar with that term?
Sure, but
and you know, we saw, just for example, the Catholic Church having a long history of if young men would come in and admit to having these urges and feelings. It wasn't, hey, you know what? That's okay. We might not like that, but people are born that way. It was, hey, you know what? You should join the priesthood because then you'll take a life of celibacy and you never have to act on it. And what could go wrong in that scenario?
Well,
and we saw exactly how it went wrong in that scenario. But people feel less pressure to conform. And this is a change that has come on very fast because even in the mid-'90s at Valley High School in West Des Moines, best high school in the state, it would have been
Except for
inconceivable for someone to say, I'm here, I'm queer, deal with it. Now,
Right.
there were those we just knew and it was never talked about because we're all going to assume conformity. This was before the gay, bi, and, trans, support groups and
But you
I'm straight but not narrow.
Okay, but you understand that's not about something being right. It's about getting a group of people to choose to fight for it to be acceptable. And eventually, there are more people fighting for it to be acceptable than are willing to fight against it.
I would call that progress.
Okay, I understand. So why not polygamy?
I just explained.
No, but Bradley Badshaw, the same arguments, and come on, I know you're not old enough, but you're smart enough to know that the same arguments you're putting out against polygamy,
There will be.
There was the same arguments against gay.
I guarantee you there will be a push among some for polygamy. Why else do you think we're seeing shows like Sister Wives? Who else would volunteer to put themselves on the legal line like that?
I'm not sure that's a good example
I think there will be a push. I don't think it'll be
because that's
successful.
falling apart very badly right now. They're having lots of problems. There's divorce proceedings going on. You might want to look into that.
I don't. That's the lady friend likes the sister.
Yeah, well,
Wives.
my wife thinks it's hilarious, and so I watch. I'm very familiar with it, but they are having real problems, and I think we'll see the societal harm there done in real time.
I mean, I think there is, and not just again. Everyone points to the Warren Jeffs and the polygamous sects. When Mitt Romney's family, not to go back to that, again, fled the country. They went down to Mexico to avoid it. Others kind of hide in plain sight. The non-criminal, the non-pederast versions. But I think there is an attempt to normalize it, and I don't think it works. Now, maybe they'll make a better argument for than I can make against. In that case, I have to demur.
Well, but my point is this, that it seems that every so often, and the 20th century was filled with them, where society moves past the ugh stage or the, well, we could never allow that to happen stage, and it becomes acceptable. Which when I pull back at 3,000 or 30,000 feet above the earth or society, I see everything goes. I see we're getting into a society where, I mean, for heaven's sakes, your grandparents, okay, and I didn't even know them, but my guess is marriage was a sacred thing. Now marriage is anything goes.
I don't know. Both my grandfathers didn't exactly hold it as
but
the most sacred of all things at all times.
All right, but you know what I'm saying.
But wouldn't that just lead to you to be a product of a bad family relationship?
No, not at all. My grandparents were, for the most part, great people, but it's one of those things where we don't.
But if they're great people and they didn't hold to the same,
we put pregnant 16-year-olds on MTV now, not on a bus to go live with their uncles.
But that's not a good thing. certainly you don't think that's
But it's a
good
real thing.
But
It's denying reality doesn't make it go away.
No, dealing with reality and not lifting it up on a pedestal makes it go away.
That was originally my argument against the 16 and pregnant shows. Because
Sure.
I've watched enough Jerry Springer in my life. I want someone to love me and my baby. And they really don't show that side. Because that was my original thought, too. Almost all of them will say, this sucks. Like, I don't get to go to prom because I've got, a kid. And lo and behold, my boyfriend isn't talking to me now because he knocked me up. And they're showing the reality of it. It's not that teens magically didn't get pregnant in the 1950s.
I understand that that's maybe not a good analogy because in that particular show, very rarely does that end up all peachy. But to say, oh, my grandfathers were not faithful individuals isn't a good example, one that we should mimic.
I'm not saying we should mimic it, but we need to accept that even though it wasn't talked about back then.
Why should we accept
it? It existed. They actually
But why should we accept it?
I'm not saying we accept it.
You just said we it's not a good
we
thing.
Accept
but we should,
that it happens. We accept that it's real.
So what are you going to stop it from happening?
Well,
He's accepting something that's real.
Between a man and his wife or husband.
The implications are we get a pissed off, fat 30-year-old white kid in the studio saying all kinds of crazy crap nobody agrees with. That's the implications there. So as a society, we should stop that. It's something we should not promote. It's something as a society.
Who promotes it?
You are. You are here saying, well, they should just leave it alone. No, we shouldn't.
What did I say we should leave alone?
We should the fidelity of marriage, I guess, is what I'm getting at. We should not think it's okay that both your grandfathers.
I think we have moved. I mean, we don't have harems in Christian societies anymore.
Yeah,
I think we have come,
but we shouldn't
a long way.
No, we haven't. Really, we've let anybody get divorced for any reason. And it's not been a positive thing. It doesn't do good things to the children. It doesn't
we ban divorce?
You know what? I would be closer to banning divorce than I would be doing what we're doing now.
Well, again, this is where we have the disagreements and we have the arguments.
Is divorce good for kids? In normal circumstances, the average divorce, we're not talking about the extreme, like, abusive cases, but we're talking about the cases where two parents decide they don't love each other.
I don't know. I think there are far more people out there damaged from their parents staying together than getting divorced.
But is that parents staying together and acting like good married people and taking care of their kids? Or is that parents that just don't want to get divorced because of some religious conviction?
I don't think it's necessarily religious conviction.
Or
for a lot of times it's staying together
social conviction
for the kids or for appearances or for money.
Well, but if they stayed together for the kids, they would be cordial because we know that's how that works.
It's hard, though, when you're
Indeed
it is.
It's
hard for happily married
who spent
people.
the last 10 years married. I know how hard
to be cordial.
I know how hard it is to be married. I'm just saying that accepting it isn't the right answer, Bradshaw.
But awareness and stop sweeping things under the rug so that we can have a realistic look. That's what I'm arguing for.
All right.
That's what I've always argued for.
That's not what you were saying 2 minutes ago.
To be aware that it exists and to not think that there's something new under the sun and magically...
Nobody was saying it was new.
That was exactly the point I was making, is that this was happening... your grandparents, you want to hear something disturbing? Your grandparents, and by the way, their parents, had premarital sex about the same rate we do today. They study these things. Now, it's talked about more, but I don't want to give you bad images about grandma because nobody wants that at all, except probably some German people on the internet.
I would argue that's by and large not true. I mean, it's certainly not true.
Well, social sciences disagree.
Yeah, you know what?
Your particular grandparents...
You're using pseudoscience here, and you're using... I don't know what swath of people they took from.
No, an individual.
Show me that report.
We have
Where's that sociology report?
25.
And who
they're
did
all
it?
over the place.
And who
There's
did it?
no shortage of them.
But sociology is based off of biases. When you go into a sociology experiment, you go in with a bias. This is what my predicted hypothesis is going to be.
And so does the data back it up?
Not normally. Normally, you corrupt it. By being biased, you can't look
saying
at
it's Schrodinger's.
I'm saying that most sociologists,
if we look
do
at it,
injustice to sociology.
No, Dan, you can deny reality all you want. It still
all
helps you. How you doing, Mac?
I'm good. Nice to be back with you. And for those of you listening, at some point here in the near future, we're going to start doing a 45-minute, hour-long daily show on local topics and things like that. Probably less on religion and more on social issues.
I was going to say, I've got my show. You've got your religious show coming up here in 10 minutes. So we can get those bugs out of our system.
And interview more local people and tell more local people stories and find points that Bradshaw and I do disagree on and have some healthy and spirited debate.
All right. Well, next time you talk about Vanderplats, though, tell him I am a kind and generous lover. And
Okay. I'll tell him that. No, I won't tell him that. I won't tell him that at all. All right, until next
It's good
time.
to talk to you again.
Thank you. Bradshaw here tomorrow at 1:30. The View from a Pew with Tom Coates and Craig Robinson to unpack the election last night. That's coming up here in about 10 minutes on WebcastOneLive.com.